Hello everyone, and thanks for watching our video. Today's video will cover the 1968 to 1982 Headlight vacuum system. I suggest each and every one of you go to the website under the tech picture section and upload the appropriate chart that fits your car. The first item we're going to cover is the Headlight vacuum filter. And it lives up to its name. Basically all it is a filter. Its purpose is to keep debris that maybe gets in your headlight actuator or your headlight relay, maybe get a little rust in there. It's going to keep that from being sucked into your engine. Basically, this is your intake manifold over here. Here's your fitting. It hooks up to that fitting, and it's sucking vacuum this way. Your check valve is going to be on the other side of it. It's going to be sitting right here, and but this is going to keep debris from going into your engine. Now what happens is these will plug up over time. A lot of times they'll deteriorate and rot. Some people will actually poke something through them to get them open up, which is not a real smart idea. If you ever wanted to see what's inside of one, what we've done, we've cut one in half, your two halves, and somebody's either poked through this or it's just deteriorated, but this little filter sets in there and catches debris. And if you poke a hole through it, anything that gets through the check valve is going to get into your engine. The next item we're going to talk about is the headlight check valve. The check valve is kind of interesting because, again, it's sucking vacuum in this direction, this way. The vacuum's pulling this way, and it goes out. You'll notice there's a large nipple and there's a small nipple, large, small, in reverse order. But it's sucking vacuum. This nipple right here runs over to your headlight switch on 73 to 82 cars. On the earlier cars, it actually goes, it actually tees off and runs to your headlight switch and over to your vacuum actuator solenoid. Refer to the chart on the website on the vacuum actuator hoses, and you'll be able to follow it. Vacuum gets sucked in on this nipple right here, and it sucks it on both of these, but it's a check valve. So when the vacuum cuts off of here, this should still check the vacuum on this side. So you should really never lose vacuum. And with the 68 to 72 wiper cars, when the headlight door is popping up, when you go to start the car up, usually this is the problem. It could be one of several things. It could be a checked hose, cracked hose. But one way to check this is you could blow through it, and I guess I can use the Mighty Vac here, and we're going to suck through it, and I should feel vacuum build up on my fingers, and right now I do. I've got I've got about 18 pounds of vacuum right now, and then when I let off of it, it should take off the other way. Now you want to check it the other way and use your Mighty Vac again. And you put it on here, and then you want to pump it up, but you want to hold your finger over this nipple, and you want to see if you can pump up vacuum. Now you could block the nipple off, and we're holding steady at 15 pounds of vacuum. So this check valve's good. I could run it on up to 20. Still holding vacuum, go to 21 pounds of vacuum. So that check valve is good, and it checked out good. You'll probably see it up on eBay tomorrow night. And that concludes the filter and the check valve. Headlight switch, it's pretty easy to check. In a lot of the videos that you see, or not videos, but in a lot of the diagrams you'll see floating around, somebody actually drew some wrong diagrams that show the source vacuum hose going to the front nipple on the headlight switch. It's actually sitting in the car like this. This is your source right here, the back one right there. And so we're going to use that as our source for the Mighty Vac, and we're going to put that on there. Now with the headlight switch in the off position, vacuum passes in this direction out to the engine, and this goes on over to your override switch. We had an override switch here somewhere. There it is. And it's going to go actually to the lower nipple on the override switch like that. Then this comes off the override switch and goes out to the top nipple on the relay. If that doesn't confuse you, nothing will. From here to here. So the basic principle is when you have vacuum flowing through here, this is going to pull the piston up, vacuum on the red, just like we discussed earlier. The object of the headlight switch is to block that vacuum, so when you pull the headlight switch on like that, this diaphragm moves in here and blocks the vacuum from going on out throughout the system. One way to check is with the Mighty Vac, and if you block it, you should be able to pump up vacuum on it. So anyway, the headlight switch is blocking vacuum. So then the next thing we want to go to is the override switch, and you basically do the same test. If I can get it off the hose. On the override switch, the vacuum is coming in this way. On the lower, it comes out the upper. Vacuum should pass through here. But when you pull the rod down, this changes right here, and now you've blocked vacuum. You can see through the port. So that blocks the vacuum, and when it does, the headlights should raise up, drops vacuum off of here, drops down to the green. But that is used for servicing the headlights, so you can raise them up, change the bulbs, and leave them in the upright position. There's an O-ring inside of here on the back side. See, there's a rubber O-ring inside of here, and it's lubricated. And a lot of times that lubrication, will go away. And if you just add a little lubricant inside of there, it'll work just fine instead of replacing them. I don't suggest you tear yours up getting it apart. So, but usually you can just tinker with them and pry a little bit and get them apart. So, and that concludes the headlight switch and the headlight override switch. Okay, the next item we're going to check is the headlight actuator relays. They're actually pretty simple to check. All you need is a Mighty Vac. You can do it on the car using the existing vacuum. The top hose here is a black with a white stripe hose. That hose comes into the headlight relay from your override switch. There's nothing between this and your headlight override switch. The object of the override switch is to block the vacuum, the same as a headlight switch, which makes the vacuum on this relay change. So with vacuum on this relay, you're going to have vacuum coming out of the red hose. When you have vacuum here, with no vacuum, which we have no vacuum right now, we should have vacuum coming out of the green stripe side. So you got the red stripe with vacuum, the green stripe when there's no vacuum on the black and white hose, and this yellow hose is your feed hose. That's coming in from your vacuum source, either from your headlight vacuum reservoir in the front of the car, or your vacuum tank over underneath the left-hand inner fender. On 80 to 82 cars, the reservoir is actually looks like a coffee can, and it's mounted up in front of the front bumper, or mounted up behind the front bumper. So basically what we're going to do, we know there's no vacuum here, so we should be in the open position. The default position is to open with no vacuum. So we've got vacuum here, so we stick the air hose in here, and we just feel should have vacuum coming out the bottom hose here, which we do. So now, what we're going to do next is we're going to pump up vacuum on the nipple, which would be like the car starting. And if you look, it only takes about 3 pounds of vacuum to get it to move all the way up. I mean, we could pump it up higher if we wanted to. This should hold vacuum. At no time should, in other words, when your car sits overnight, this shouldn't lose vacuum. But what's happened now is this plunger's been sucked up. The air vacuum has been diverted. It's pulling this way. It's been diverted now to go out this hose. So this hose should have vacuum with this having vacuum. And you just put your air hose in there, and we're going to feel it. And sure enough, and then we'll check down on the green hose. We have nothing on the green, and all the vacuum's been diverted to the red. So this relay's working fine as long as it holds vacuum, which we could leave it on a test. We know it'll hold vacuum, so there's no sense in doing it. If it's a used one, you might pump it up and let it sit for a couple hours, go back and check it. Anyway, that concludes the headlight actuator relay. Okay, the next item we're going to test here is the headlight actuator, and this would be the same for 68 to 82 cars. This actuator is used. It's a great test subject. We're going to put the Mighty Vac on. What you're going to see, and I'm going to turn it around for you, is this is the up. So this is when you have vacuum on your green hose. A translation would mean you have no vacuum on your black and white stripe hose on top of the relay. There's no vacuum here. The vacuum is coming out this lower port, which should make the headlight go into the up position. And so we're going to start pumping it, and you're probably not going to see any movement. You get a little movement. There's 3 pounds of vacuum, and you've got a little bit of movement at 3 pounds. And it's just going to kind of stay at 3 pounds, 4 pounds, until you really start drawing that diaphragm in. Now this is a used unit. It could use a new dust boot. I'm not going to take it apart right now to see if the seal's good. But you can see also how the headlight functions as well. You're going to see over here the stop. That's your headlight door stop for your up. And there, it just lapped over. Now, once it bottoms out, the diaphragm's actually going to start building up some pressure. And I hope it does. Yep, there it goes. Okay, now here we go. Now the headlight's building up pressure. It should hold vacuum, so we're going to take it up to 20 pounds. And there it is. It's sitting steady at 20 pounds. So this side of the actuator is in good shape. It did pass the first test. You might want to let it set for a while and see if it loses any vacuum. And then if not, move on to the next side. Now we're going to suck it down. And the down suck, it comes from the actuator relay. And I'm trying to get it on there. When you have vacuum on this nipple right here, it's going to come out the red hose, and this red hose is going to run over to this back nipple. And this would emulate being on the car and having the headlight in the down position. And again, it's going to sit there at about 3 pounds. It may come up a little bit more, 4 pounds. Actually, I'm at 4 pounds right now. And there it starts moving. So you can see the door closing. It's upside down, by the way. And it's just going to keep on trucking here in just a second. It's going to pull all the way closed. And if you'll notice, I don't think you can see it, but this bolt right here, this is your stop bolt for the closed position. And it will only allow it to travel. So if you want to raise or lower your door in the closed position, that's your critter. Open position over here on this little bracket. Closed over here. Now we've got it closed. And you can see here now, I just saw some movement I didn't like. So right there, watch this little clevis. That usually means the bushing's kind of wore out. So if this were me, I would probably take this clevis off here and replace the bushing. It doesn't sound like it even has a bushing in there. So we're going to go ahead and pump it up and see if it holds vacuum. Now we're at 20 pounds of vacuum. If it won't pump up, if you can't get it to respond this way with the Mighty Vac, chances are your diaphragm in here's cracked. You could have a seal inside the actuator that's bad. There's a little seal that goes on this rod shaft below this bellows boot right here. And that concludes our video. I hope you learned something today, and hopefully you'll get a chance to visit our website. It's willcoxcorvette.com. There's 2 L's in Willcox. While you're on the site, there's tons of information there. It's all free. You'll find it under the Tech Pictures and under the Repair and Install Help section. Once again, I hope you enjoyed the video. Have a great day.